Fruit before noon.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Davis and Chace. This is going to be a great catch-up for Josh and I. Sometimes we have multiple conversations within the week. I was out of the country. I was several hours ahead. A lot happened. We have so much to catch up on. Where would you like to begin?
I mean, let's start with Greasy Grease.
How about dope shirts?
I mean, that's an okay shirt.
I also have a finisher shirt. What do you call a podium when you take a shirt that you didn't do the race for? What do you call that?
Being a fucking thief? I don't know.
Wow, Josh. I was walking by so when you finished in the town and then you went up to the soccer field, which was actually kind of cool. There was a soccer field up there, and that's where you got more of your finish line treats, which were great. They had like figs and dates and bread and all this cool stuff, not just crappy bananas. And then that was where the live broadcast was, which of course we can talk about. So athletes would go there, and then people would actually just sort of like lay in the sun and stretch, and it just kind of was a cool little setup. But I had to walk by it like 10 times, and trust me, the thought of, medals and shirts on eBay can make a fortune here. I'm not going to do that. That would be wrong. But I'm like, I can snag a finisher shirt. These are nice shirts to run in around my neighborhood. I sweat a lot. It looks kind of cool. I'll wear a tech shirt to run in. So there you go, Josh. All right. What do you want to ask me something? Should I bring up the list? What should we do here?
Let's take a look at this list.
Super organized. Super organized. Well,
all right. You know what I want to start with?
Sure.
There is one thing I like about Greece, and that is the format of how they do these races. So it's a trifecta world championship, which means you are competing in all three distances, all three disciplines, if you will, of Spartan Race. And then at the end of it all, they stagger the start of the athletes, right, based on who's in the lead after the first two events, right?
Well, first of all, there's something that I didn't realize until later in the day, which I'll say secondly, if that's a word. But firstly, Christopher Stevens, a couple weeks ago, goes, Matt, there's all these questions about where should the championship be, and should it be the beast distance, and should it be on a mountain? He said, you know how they do it in the Trifecta World Championship? Shouldn't that be the Spartan champion, the person who does the best at all three distances over weekend? And I was like, that's so simple. We never saw it, and it just might work.
Yeah, I'm fully on board with like a full weekend, and you could even stagger them, I guess, because like we'll talk about Woodsy, but like I'm sure the athletes are just gassed at the end of it. But the real champion of Spartan Race should be the person who can be at their peak amongst all three distances. I love it.
Yeah, and there's so many variables. So here's the trick. The staggered start determines the winner. I thought it determined like the top 10 because they stagger the starts. That is incorrect. It determines the winner so you can have a true first one across the gun. There's no confusion. Wait, he beat me by 10 minutes on Saturday, but he lost by 5 minutes on Friday, whatever. But the rest of it is time. So you saw us post, here's total time. So, for example, it was very possible that Woods crossed before Killian but didn't beat him for the weekend. But in this case, he did by a mere 10 seconds. But he almost didn't.
I don't like that part of it.
Me either. I feel like keep it for the top 10 or the top 5, whatever you're going to do. I can tell you that I've never seen Ryan Atkins so mad. I think it's safe to say that I'm pretty close with that guy. He always makes time to interview. And win or lose, he makes time to interview with me if I ask him for ORM, for Spartan, for whatever I'm doing. And after the second race where he had missed his second spear that essentially bounced out, like he's like, Matt, I throw the same spear all the time. These are perfect spears. It bounced out because they cover it in some sort of thing.
Yeah, they put cellophane wrapping around the hay to maintain the hay for longer periods of time. They do that in Canada too.
That he just didn't even talk to me. I was like, will you talk to me? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, how'd it go? He's like, my spear left. It was kind of like it was like just one of those really bad press conferences where they're like, Both teams played hard. Both teams. He did not want to talk. I said, we'll do this later.
He was just there so he wouldn't get fined. So
exactly. Well, we'll get to that too. So, but just let me know how fucking pissed he was, because he always is usually pretty even keeled. Now, the bummer is a lot of guys missed, including Killian, but a lot of guys didn't. So you have a trifecta world champion that you've never heard of, Richard Heineck, 21 years old, great racer, but he makes a spear all weekend and he's the champion. You know what I mean? If Atkins makes his spears all weekend, he's probably the champion, or at least on the podium.
Richard Heineck, who, according to somebody at Discord, runs like a 65-year-old ultramarathoner, but is really fast. So I'm guessing his form is sketchy. I don't know. I didn't see him.
I went back and looked at a video of Woods taking off. Woods looked weird. I don't know that I've seen Woods. Woods had a strange.
Well, Woods definitely was hobbling for that last race, so I'm sure he was under the physical weather.
But let's get back to this idea of the trifecta champion is the world champion. It's so obvious. It was right there in front of us. I don't know. When Christopher said that to me, I was like, how did I miss that? And yes, of course, people could have problems with it. But I really like it. And even if you did it, let's say you did it in a Tahoe, which they're not, but you could make maybe the sprint not go up and down the hills, right? You could make the sprint more of a, less terrain thing. And then maybe if you wanted to make the beast this crazy thing. Another quick side note, what Woodsy said to me was, he's like, I'm in a position to win, he says, but there's a lot of failable obstacles. There's this slack line, right? Super short. I think it could be a little bit longer. Super short slack line. Like for the guys, 1, 2, 3 steps and you're over it. Which I think there was some talk that maybe he did it wrong. We can get back to that. Like he went up to the side.
Yeah, it looked like he was kind of falling off and then just bounded.
Right. I think it's that, the goal line goes on for infinity situations. I don't know. But there was going to be 2 memorizations. And I heard 2 things officially from, can't think of his name. I put him on the story even, little French guy. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting his name. It's been a long week. It'll hit me in a minute. He said, we just didn't they couldn't have enough volunteers. He said, we didn't have enough volunteers, and we knew they're going to come in hot, 10 deep. He didn't say that. That's my English translation of it. Thomas Blanc, Monsieur Blanc, said they didn't have enough volunteers, and they wanted to make sure they had it because they didn't want to fuck that up. Unofficially, I heard from a couple of sources that there was printing issues, that maybe they didn't all make it, or they got leaked. And people already know their bib number going into the weekend because you pick up your packet on Friday. And so some of them already knew it. So choose your conspiracy theory, but there was no memorization, which could have been a game changer.
Interesting.
That's all I have to say about that. Are you answering emails? You in the Discord? What are you doing?
No, I'm front and center. I trust me. I'm all on board with doing this 3 distance determine a champion thing. I think they're a little too into the weeds with all these championships to now transition over to that.
But more are coming.
More are coming.
I did an interview with Cherie Bortnick. The what do you call it? The venue lady. And I'm going to let you decide. I asked her whether they looked at schedules. I'm going to let you decide whether she's full of shit or you side with me, basically. I'll play that episode.
They look schedules. I already know the answer to that. Oh, okay. I already know the answer to that. All right, you missed a conversation in Discord, so.
Oh.
Yeah.
If it's Gary B, his information is sketchy at best.
No, it's not even Gary B. It's just us talking. So I'll give you an example. This is just another example on the loaded truck that is the competitive committee at Spartan. The New Jersey Spartan Super. They moved it up a month, right, to get it out of early November. They moved it up a month when they released their schedule. It conflicted with OCRWC, right, as soon as they announce it. Guess what's off the schedule that weekend, Maddie?
What?
New Jersey Super's gone. It's not on October 2nd and 3rd anymore. So
you're saying they got wind of it through Discord? What are you saying?
No, I'm just saying that they saw that it was going to conflict with OCR Worlds, and they're now changing it.
Okay, so I'm just going to wait. We're going to let her play the interview. There's a lot to unpack here. So do you want to get to make some of the athlete stuff, maybe?
Yeah.
Because I do. I definitely want to get to the athlete stuff. So I know the athletes pretty well. Dare I say I'm friends with some of them, right? And as we all know, I've got to always walk that line. Sometimes I do it well. Sometimes I come right out and say, I hope Ryan Woods wins. I'm also friendly with staff for Mutter, for Spartan, right? Our industry is too small, as we've said many, many times. It's like too small. Like if you know someone, you know someone. So it's not like the NFL where there's 100 sources or whatever. So the first thing on Friday was the press conference, which Josh insulted when I sent him a photo. It's like your standard, let's get the local news, let's get the mayor, let's get Joe to do his fucking dog and pony, and let's get a couple of athletes. Well, it's 11 a.m. local time, and there's no athletes, right? And Joe, if you're ever near Joe DeSena, he'll put you to work, right? And I used to fall for this, and I don't anymore. Joe's like, Matt, get the athletes. I'm like, nope, like not the job. I mean, like if you're too near Joe, you'll end up fucking like, you know, you'll become the sandbag carrier or the who knows what, or his personal assistant for the day. Sort of adorable treat, whatever of Joe. Anyway, so they're messaging me, right? Matt, where's this thing at? Nicole and Aaron, who are together, and Aaron, they want Nicole and Killian as the two, like, you know, champions available to win the million. They also called her last year's vice champion, which is like, I guess that's a term. Like she wasn't second place; she was the vice champion.
That is no hard stop on that. We're not making that a thing,
dude. It could be a local thing. I don't think we wrote that. I think the local press wrote that. Anyway, they're messaging me, Matt, where is it? And I'm like, it's behind the thing. They're like, drop a pin. I'm like, how do you do that? You know that scene? You know that scene in it reminds me of that great scene in the great 80s movie Cocktail, where it's his first night at the bar. And they're like, you know, like an easy drink. Make me a, I don't know. I'm really ruining the joke here. Make me a margarita. And like, he just stops and goes, what's in that? So, you can now drop Google pins too, which I didn't know, which is a whole nother thing. You can make Josh is shaking his head so badly at me.
That's Tech Corner class 301. You're still on 101.
It's behind the thing. So they were never told. Okay, I knew to be there because I had been given, you know, these various runs of show for the weekend as I was working Spartan social media. Apparently, they had never been told. Now, here's where it gets a little wonky. As I'm saying, is that like I'm friends with the athletes and I'm friends with Spartan is now mad at the athletes, right? But whose fault is it if they didn't receive a communication, right? Like, how tough is it for someone? Like, it shouldn't be Watson because he's too high up, but I guess in this case it would be a little note the night before. See you tomorrow at the press conference, and then they're like, "Oh, there's a press conference," and then the morning of, if you forgot the night before, how about the morning of? When you wake up at 8, guys, press conference at 11, because they're probably not doing anything. It's the first day in town. Maybe they are, and they'll run later or do something else later.
Yeah, somebody should be handling like run of show or something like that.
Which apparently, I think Woodsy even said that's one thing that Joe DI actually did. Many people had big problems with Joe DI, but apparently he was a good liaison between the two. Would tell them. And this comes in conversation later for the award ceremony. That's why I'm pointing this out. Because also part of that day, what happened the rest of the day was a hilarious story, which I will get Ryan, Nicole, or Aaron to tell, where after that, they're like, we just need you for 5 minutes for this interview, and then we don't see them for like 9 hours. Because it's kind of how it goes, right? Like, for all this talk of we're a professional sport and Watson wants us to be this thing, and then many times it's like Spartan and whoever is, all over the place. And so
it's all talk and no execution.
Well, it's just a lot of wonky stuff. And again, I've said this before, Savage has problems, Spartan has problems, Mutter has problems. They all, no one runs a perfect ship. But, should we get – this just leads right into the award ceremony, because Spartan was, as we say in New England, bullshit over the fact that those two people weren't there.
So wait, all right. I didn't watch a single second of any coverage from this weekend, admittedly. I think I caught some of the stories and then just followed along in Discord. So who didn't show up for the award ceremony?
Well, a couple things you should know. There is no money for winning any of the races, which I think is wrong. You only get money at the end of the weekend. Because I feel like you should get something, right?
I disagree. I think you only win if you are the final winner. So why would you get any win? Why should you get money for the sprint?
So why is there a podium ceremony for the sprint?
I don't know. And if there is, that's ridiculous too. So
well, apparently it's really important because Nicole wasn't there and Woods wasn't there and Spartan was losing their mind over it. That's
interesting. But again, that could be a communication thing. That could be hey, we're doing a podium award for the sprint. And they need to buckle their shit up when it comes to podium awards. Like I saw somebody posted just like yesterday or the day before and this is an age group thing, but the guy's like, hey, Spartan, 5 hours from the end of the race to the age group podiums, like we're not pro athletes. They need to do better at communicating.
Well, so here's where I'm siding with the athletes, okay? The day Saturday, okay, athletes are waking up at some really early time. It's an 8:00 race, probably up somewhere between 5 and 6, doing their oatmeal and their stretching and whatever they do. Then they fucking kill themselves for a super, right? They got a couple hours rest, figure out what's tweaked, what's not, right? Now they're going to run the sprint, right? Kill themselves, right? Even more so because it's a shorter race, right? That race started and was over for the top people by, I don't know, 2:00. You could probably do the awards by 3 if you were really pushing. Again, not everybody because you got to figure out the weekend, right? But for the top 3, you could absolutely knock that out and do an award ceremony. They didn't. The award ceremony was at 7:30, right? Now, if I'm a Spartan athlete, right, and no one's really communicated to me, like it's listed somewhere, but nobody said, again, on Spartan, hey guys, please be there, which they didn't do.
Yeah.
And especially if you're Ryan Woods and your hotel is, I don't know, 20 minutes out of town, you're not sticking around to hope they start the awards on time. You're fucking going to bed, right?
Or you're just going to eat the food that you brought, recover the way you want to recover, whatever it is.
Well, Nicole messaged me and she threw me under the bus and I told her it was okay. She was like, oh my God, Matt, is awards happening now? And I said, well, they just said your name. So I don't think you need to bother. Like literally, like they just, Nicole Medico, America. You know what I mean? It was like, I was like, literally just said your name. You're good. So she said, I asked Matt and he told me it was over. And I was like, fine, like I'll take one for the team there. Like, because it doesn't matter. So,
but also you weren't wrong.
So I can see why they would not be there. Now, according to Mike Morris and I had a conversation where he said, this is the most important thing for our sport. And I was like, no, it isn't. He's like, we want to be recognized as a sport. I said, Mike, no one remembers that. No one remembers. I said, elite. Well, first I said, ask people what they remember about the weekend. And no one's going to say the awards. They're going to talk about, struggling and an obstacle. He said, well, that's
watching a finish between so-and-so and like that.
He said, well, that's just the regular people. I said, no, dude, everybody. It's a 2-second I said, I get you do them and they have a purpose and sponsors, but it is definitely not the most important thing. He said, well, I tell my team, like, we got to make sure we're buttoned down for the, for the pro growth of the sport. This is like, I'm like, okay, well, I've never heard that phrase from anyone outside of you. If you tell your team that and they do a great job with that, great from a production standpoint. But so Ryan and Nicole both got a talking to about this. And Ryan actually took the super high road. I happened to be walking by and Ryan was like, hey, it's on me. I should have been there. I'm sorry. I went to my hotel to sleep or whatever. I think this also, it's also what's really confusing when you're the sport and the company, right?
Yep.
Like I was talking to Cole about it the next day and he's talking about, there's certain penalties you get in a game, right? And then there are outside of competition penalties you get, like in the NFL, right? For missing a practice or missing a press conference, or like they get fined, right? I said, well, slight difference is those people make millions of dollars. So,
Right.
so if you want to fine them the equivalent of $1,000 fine, which is 50 cents on the money they won that weekend, I guess you could do that. But
also, those players are unionized, have collective bargaining and other obligations, blah, blah, blah. But no big deal.
I forgot to mention that.
You know what is – so while the podium thing might not be the most important thing for the sport, you know what is the most important for Spartan?
What?
Is the safety of their employees.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I just talked a lot there, but I just feel like they were mad at these two people. And again, like, take some ownership. You guys should be the ones going, it's on us. We didn't make it important for you to be there, and it's our fault. And in the future, we're going to make sure we over-communicate what we need from you. Now, another thing Coble pointed out, by the way, I've said things about Coble in the past. Like, I was actually like, he just might be one of those guys that takes 3 years to get to know, and then you sort of start to understand his language, because I found myself actually agreeing with him and just sort of liking him more this weekend. Coble's way out there for anybody that doesn't know. He's just kind of an out there guy.
He's an odd duck.
And he said, well, again, his reference is always cycling. He's like, well, in cycling, there's like a guy that handles the team, right? So Josh, you're in charge of the Dunkin' Donuts team, right?
Yeah, and the Wrangler.
And you go, here's the schedule for the day, press and otherwise. My guys can't be at all these things. This is when they nap. This is when they're stretching. This is when they have PT. Like, we can move one of these, or, you know what I mean? And again, we just don't have that as a sport, but Spartan is the sport and the sponsor, right? And the protein commitments. So it's just a little wonky, which is like nobody's fault. It's just, we're just not there yet.
Well, they'll get better with logistics, assuming they learn from situations like this. And actually in New Jersey, the Saturday Mountain Series, like, podiums got delayed, and we're like waiting around. I was like, when is this happening? And then who comes strolling up but one Mr. Ryan Kempson, who apparently delayed the whole thing because he was off eating a burger somewhere. So they just, they'll get better with logistics, assuming they stick at it. But for an event like Greece, they definitely need a run of show, right? They need a briefing with the athletes, not to go over rules, but to go over, hey, 2 p.m. is this. Or put together some bloody conference calls with the athletes beforehand and say, hey, do you think 2 hours after the race is enough time?
There was only 4 of them. You could have handled it in a fucking Slack chat or a WhatsApp chat. You know what I mean? But again, whose job is it? Is it David Watson, the VP of all of product?
No, it's whoever's doing event production there. Somebody's in charge of event production, right? It's that person.
Right. But again, that's like Morris, and Morris is in charge of like what? Like, 25 employees and 100 volunteers. Like, whose job is it? You know what I mean? That is like where the Joe DI role like existed. And so this comes back to, is there a budget for that person? Or do you just want to like keep doing it wonky and then getting mad at the athletes for not being there? I side 1,000% with the athletes. And again, and this is what I tried to say to Mike, because Mike was he couldn't believe that I sided with the athletes. And I said, had you done them 2 hours later, it's a no-brainer. And he's like, oh, so your argument is that it should have been earlier, not that they were required to be there. I go, well, it's the same argument. If it's earlier, then, but the fact that you pushed it, I said, but here's the other thing too, is it's not just this weekend. It's if you've been a Spartan athlete for a year or two, these things consistently get delayed, and it's already 8 o'clock at night, and you've got to get to bed to race this really important. You're trying to win fucking 10 grand for the weekend the next morning. You're not sticking around and hoping that you get out of there on time. And then once you're there becomes more. People want pictures with you. There's more things to do. It's like it's nighttime, guys. It's time to go to bed.
And you can make it an obligation for the athletes, but the obligation for you is you need to communicate and you need to execute and you need to be held to, the same standards you want to hold these athletes to. So if you want something to happen at 5 p.m., you have to make sure that you're doing your due diligence to make sure it happens at 5 p.m., not, well, we got a thing we're looking into. We've got a few things. Like, it happens all the time at every race. Like,
I think the other thing about Coble, and again, like, I know I've given the guy a hard time, is I saw him working, and I always kind of see him working, but seeing him talk to his staff and like, he really does want to get it right. I don't think he has a beef with Woods. He's taking the time to make sure these guys get it right. And again, it's a super flawed system in 1,000 ways, but Kobo's doing the best he can with it. Now, my last sort of like Spartan is dumb thing, and then we can talk about some other stuff, is we all knew that Sweden was a week after Greece, right? We all know that. I'm standing next to these athletes who just killed themselves for a fucking weekend. Good luck running 100 miles next week, 6 days from now. It's just stupid. And all Joe and Watson want to stand on is, they said the 4-minute mile was impossible. And so I texted Joe. I was like, Joe, this is the 4-minute mile in 1955, not now, right? Not like, because you can say, oh, now. This is the 4-minute mile in 1955 with a 50-pound rucksack. That's what that is, what you're asking these people to do.
After running the 5-minute mile the weekend previously. Like, it's
2 days before. It's like they're not trained for it. Their bodies are beat up to shit. I mean, it's like, it's so stupid. It's so like not even possible that it's not a fun challenge. It's dumb.
Yeah, it is dumb, and it was poorly planned and poorly scheduled. And unfortunately, it's going to be really bad for them because they're not going to have athletes that are at their best, obviously, which is what everybody wants to see. They had like athletes like Rhea skipped the trifecta weekend because she's focusing on Sweden. You have athletes like Nicole, who is in the best position to win $1 million, who doesn't even run 24-hour races. Lindsay's not going to be like the number of athletes that are going to be there and going for it is going to be very slim. And I feel like it's going to be a little boring and probably unexciting to watch. Two things come out of it. One, I should have bet Joe $1 million because I would have made a sweet fucking return on it. And two, if somebody wants to make a bet with me, I would be surprised if athletes got 50 miles in the conditions that are out there right now. There is multiple feet of snow at this mountain, 2,000 feet of elevation every single lap for this. The temperatures are in the negatives right now. This is not obstacle course racing. This is like adventure/survival racing events, and that is not exciting to watch or exciting to follow. So it's like you need to do something else when it comes to the Ultra World Championship, because racing in a foot of snow overnight with sub-freezing temperatures is not Spartan Race. It's just not.
So the best person in the world at this is going to be there. His name is Ryan Atkins, right? And he's not going to do it, right? He's not going to do it. So maybe Joe does what he does last year, which is
start throwing around some incentives, right? Make 60 miles, I'll give you 10 grand, whatever it is.
I think that's going to be the only saving grace. And I think, listen, it'll be forever is there. It'll be fun. It'll be great. You know, if you've been to WTM, you know what it's like to stay up all night and be with your athletes and be with the community and all that stuff. It does seem to be super wonky, like the Tough Mudder model of helping each other and, you know, running a lap or doing this extra thing for a penalty. Burpees have no place in it. Heavy carries are going to just weigh it down more. All this elevation gain. It's just wonky. It's just super. And again, it's like, well, they said Kipchoge couldn't break 2. Okay, Kipchoge break 2 with a weight vest 10 years ago. That's basically, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, it's not possible. It's like, it's just not feasible is the word, right?
Yep. It's definitely not feasible.
Doing things with my hands for people who are.
Yeah, it's sort of dumb. And I think we thought the Sweden thing was dumb from the get-go. And, you know, I get that we have like championship season now. And just imagine next year, right? Then we throw in the stadium championship. When the hell is that going to happen?
And how about the Ultra Championship? Like not the
Are you talking about just a plain old Ultra Series championship?
Yeah, didn't we say that was going to happen and you were all excited?
I mean, there's definitely going to be an Ultra Series next year. I'm pretty sure we know that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so I don't know.
So there's an Ultra Series, there's going to be an Ultra Championship, and then the 24-hour Ultra Championship.
Well, if they do that, that's dumb, because then you've just cannibalized at least 10% of the people that would go to Sweden or wherever the hell it's going to be. That's stupid. And if anybody's thinking about that in a boardroom right now and Spartan's listening, cross it off your list because it's dumb. Have the series, but you're still going to have Sweden as the championship of that series, I think. That's the bed you've made. Like, this 24-hour race for Spartan is dumb. They need to stop it.
All right.
They're not going to, though. But
Can we talk about something non-Spartan now?
Sure.
I'm Spartaned out.
Let it be known that our list is pretty much 99% Spartan as well. I did run a trail race this weekend, Matt.
Oh, hey. You said, I saw your post and you're like, hey, Sunday, blah, 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 but there was no mention of the trail.
Yeah. Ran the 10K trail. Charlie Angle was there, shook his hand. He's a good dude. He seems very excited about trail, which I like. Wasn't a fan of the trail itself. It was just a Spartan race where you went around obstacles to me.
Really? They didn't send you like off differently in different places?
I mean, we did break off in some areas, but we were mostly on like fire roads. So it was, when I think of a trail race, right, and this is me personally, and it probably differs for everybody. I don't think of like scaling mountains as a trail race, right? There should be some climbing in there and some declining and stuff like that, but there shouldn't be Spartan caliber climbs in a Spartan trail race. Like, I shouldn't be climbing up the super course on a Spartan trail race. That's my 2 cents. Like, we're out in a gorgeous section of northern New Jersey. The Appalachian Trail is right nearby. Like, find a flat runnable trail, like somewhere else. Doing it on a mountain just seems weird to me. So, and granted, it was after 2 other races on that mountain, so I was just kind of strutting it for a bit.
Sorry to hear that. I've done 3 and love them all.
Yeah, maybe I don't know. Maybe it's just because I ran the race on that course 2 other times that weekend, but I don't know. Their shirt was awesome. Props to the shirt.
Why do you think the shirt's awesome?
Cotton poly blend, bro. It's comfy.
Maybe it's new because the one I got is like regular. I think it was regular cotton. I feel like.
I don't know. It was different.
Just
Different is better sometimes.
It says trail on it.
Yeah. All right, man. What else do you want to talk about? You say non-Spartan stuff, but there's a lot of Spartan stuff here. Spartan Discourse with Doofus and Rage.
Doofus and Rage. What a great name. Somebody please make that. We could use an update from the Tom Cruise thing.
We need a logo. Yeah.
Well, you want to talk about the trifecta reset?
Yeah.
Why is this making you so mad?
Listen, Matt, some of these decisions, like the way you were talking about how they just plan things without like, hey, somebody might become an employee if they're around Joe. It all makes sense, right? The trifecta reset, right? How much do you want to bet that this decision was made Wednesday? Like, hey, I got a great idea. Let's reset the trifectas. We'll do this whole thing and the Trifecta World Championship, right, is not always going to be in Spartan Greece. Like they've always said, it's permanently going to be here.
I feel like it will be, but okay.
Okay, well, you know what? Then Sparta Greece can turn around and say, we want some fucking money to keep us, like, to have you keep coming back. Now they've got you in a pinch where they can just be like, okay, you want to keep coming back? Sure, we'll start paying us more and more every single time.
Do you remember when they switched it the first time?
I don't.
You were around back then in the early days, 2012, 2013?
I mean, I was around, but what was the stopgap for trifecta dates? What date was it?
So if you did it within a year, like 365 days, right? So I didn't do my super until February 2013, let's say.
Right. So it's a rotating year.
We didn't have a super. There was no, Virginia didn't even exist. So the only super was Miami. And if you lived in Georgia, it was like Georgia for the sprint, Carolina for the beast. The next February, I did it and I got it. And then it was like, okay, we're going to go Tahoe to Tahoe. Isn't that what they made officially? Or then they switched it to calendar years?
I feel like they went right to calendar years. I don't know. But
so what is it now and why is it bad?
Okay, so here's what it is now. So now the Spartan Trifecta weekend is the start and finish of the Trifecta calendar year.
Okay.
So it's November 2nd single year, or November 4th, right? It restarted on Monday. So November 4th every year is now the reset. And whatever Spartans Trifecta weekend next year could be on November 7th. It could be on November 1st. Could be on October 30th. Who the hell knows when it will fall? But that is the reset of Trifecta time. And the premise is they want to get people to Spartan Greece because they want to give them these awards. And hell, Molly's on that list. Molly's the 3rd overall girl for earned trifectas lifetime. So she could go to Sparta and get her name on some marble wall random spot in Greece, which is also weird to me.
Dude, I gotta put this on the list. We have a big trifecta cheater that we have to talk about.
Okay, cool. Trifecta cheater. It's on
Oof.
there.
It. Big time.
But it just makes sense for like calendar weekend because so now we've got this gap in 2019, right, where the races starting from today forward count towards both this year and next year's trifecta. Whatever, that's an issue we can fix easy. But calendar year means you've got the same races, the same age groups, the same medals, the same shirts, right? You've got a consistency of things within that calendar year. Whereas in Greece, right, it happens in early November, which means you could have, I don't know, 2, 4, 8 races from November 1st to the end of the year with 2019 stuff, and then the rest of your trifecta is formed on 2020 stuff. And there's the rumor of things like pie pieces going away, so that just causes more inconsistency and stuff. It's an unnecessary conversation when it's easier to just fucking go, the calendar year is the trifecta year. The end.
Yeah, it seems like when they changed it properly, there's only that weird half thing once, right? It's what CrossFit just went through, right? Hey, we're going to have 2 opens this year, and then it'll be fine. So I'm not quite sure I have it either, but I really want to talk about this trifecta cheater.
Okay, let's do it.
So I was not even aware of the trifecta community that exists out there, which these people are hardcore, man. So most people know handsome black guy. Hartley. Yes, my friend's name is Hartley. Many people know handsome black guy. Handsome and black, giant fucking, always wears giant honking fucking trifectas, right?
He's the Juggernaut. Juggernaut OCR.
Juggernaut OCR. Great guy. Met him a couple times. You can't go anywhere and he's not there because he's the guy that gets all the trifectas.
He's good everywhere.
So Denny Ha, who many of you watched coverage me and him this weekend, the German Mappy Davis, if you will, except that he also races every weekend, right? So it's very important. Like, it was very important for him to get his 13 trifectas and to get on stage and get his big thing, right? And then there's another young American who I spent time with, and I'm really sorry. Now I'm forgetting his name. Guys, please don't kill me. We went on a run together.
You got to write this stuff down, bro.
I know, but I feel like I would. And we hung out like all weekend. He's got a bunch. These guys all travel and they all know each other like a lot, really well, because it's a thing, man.
Yeah, they're a clique.
Right. So they all wanted to be there for the weekend. There's something else you get. Like, there was something else to collect, but your name is on the fucking.
You get a trifecta weekend medal too, like a single medal for the trifecta weekend.
Right. And you get to collect your big certain piece. And if you hit 13, I don't know why that number, you got this giant fucking shield that you may have seen pictures of. And your name's on the board like we do for WTN or OCRWC. It's a whole fucking thing. So my friend who's going to write the story, I think he's going to write the story for me. There's a woman who was saying she got trifectas that she didn't get. And the research was done because her boyfriend and or coach was like picking up her medal for her, right? And that's what made them look at some results. And when they looked at the results, his time and this woman's time were identical. Okay? I did it wrong. I think it's identical. Every mat. Okay? And then guess what shows up in the finish line picture?
Just him?
Just him.
Yep, so he was taking her timing chip.
So of all the things that people get upset about, skipping burpees or whatever, this to me is the most egregious of anything ever. Like, this is legit bullshit, right?
Yeah.
So this was brought to the attention of Spartan HQ, and they were like, okay, we're looking into it. And he was like, what do you mean? It's like, well, you're getting the podium sound ready? Is that what you're getting ready?
You can't spoil it, man. Well, Jesus. Now I'm not even gonna
And they essentially said, like, okay, we're looking into it to figure out which ones she did and which ones she didn't. And he's like, what do you mean? You're going to determine?
Yeah, why would you even bother?
like to me, he said this, and I think this is really a good point. And I think if Joe gets wind of this, it'll be a thing that, like, is there anything less Spartan than that, right? To like just flat out fake your fucking races and say like, well, we're only going to say you did 7 this year instead of 13 because these are the ones we can prove you were at. How about, he said, I think there's 2 things, ban for a year or ban for life. Josh, what do you think?
I completely agree. So the epitome of Spartan racing is finishing the fucking race at all costs, right? Whatever it takes, you get your ass to the start line and you'll know at the finish line, right? Well, she doesn't know because she wasn't there. So it's like there's nothing more faux DM
A new word.
than what's that?
We need a new word because this isn't podium. This is way worse. And apparently she broke her leg early in the year, and like that's her reasoning. It's like, well, oh well.
Yeah, because I was going to say, doesn't it, like, if you're already there, why aren't you running? So she injured herself, and she was like, well, I got a season pass. I'm just going to register, pick up my bib, and then hand it to her boyfriend to run every single time?
Yeah, which, hey, dude, I'll be right back.
Okay. So I'm struggling to come up with words because of how ridiculous it is. It's like, why not go run the Boston Marathon, right? And give your bib to somebody and be like, hey, check it out. I ran the Boston Marathon, but you didn't. And at the same time, I don't know. I feel like that speaks to people nowadays. And it's like, I can just do whatever I want. Rules don't apply to me. You know, people suck. It's really what it is. Matt totally left. I don't know where he went. He just got up and was like, hey, I'll be right back. So he could be catching an Amazon guy, drop kicking a package onto his porch. He could be going out to buy some ice cream. He could be refilling his coffee right now. I don't really know, to be honest. I'm just here. And I'm out of stuff to talk about. Shameless plug, though. If you're going to be at Fenway this weekend, feel free to hunt me down and say hi. I'll probably be in a dry robe because it's going to be like 9 degrees, and it sounds like we might have some snow there this weekend. So it's going to be exciting. Ryan Kent's going to be there, I think. Let's hope he doesn't get knocked out by some other racer. Who would do that? Anyway, in the meantime, before Matt rejoins us shortly, if you want to follow all the action, you know where to do it. The website is bit.ly/OCR chat. Join us on the Discord. Have a chat with us. We're getting towards the end of the year, which means we're going to need some stuff to talk about. And what better place to talk about it than in one single spot instead of Facebook? Because we all know what Facebook's, what a shit show Facebook is lately. All right, I'm going to shut up so Matt can edit the rest of this out.
Really sorry about that.
That's okay. I finished my thought.
You did finish your thought? Did you shout out Bitly?
I did.
I was gonna hop on the phone and actually add it to the phone for the weekend, but I was like, oh, I don't need one more distraction. And usually I can catch up. I can like go through. People tag me a couple of times, and then I can catch up. There was just so much going on. I couldn't possibly catch up with what happened in Discord while I was gone. I did add Denny to the Discord. I don't know if he's gonna stick around on it, but I told him how great it was.
It was my connection to what was happening in Greece, because I was racing for the weekend, traveling, out eating dinners, and I couldn't pop in on live coverage. I did hear that the live coverage was very well done, except it sounded like Dave Watson was a little frustrated. I saw the clip when they like cut away from like the finish line to like go back to the guys. Like they like missed a finish of somebody. I'll have to pull it up and watch it, but yeah.
Yeah, it didn't. My Discord must have just opened, by the way, or unless that was your Discord.
That was probably mine.
Yeah, there's usually a producer who's telling people, back to camera 1, back to camera 2. So I guess you didn't understand sport. You know what I mean? Why would you do that?
Yeah, but they're kind of been notorious for that anyway. Like they're like, follow our social all weekend for highlights, and they'll do 48 updates of the race. And then when it comes to the finish line, they just go like radio silent because they want to like put it in a real post and give you high quality. So they're kind of notorious for that.
Yeah, I mean, they had a bunch of rabbits, right? So they did their thing, I guess. All right, what else, dude?
What else? Can we talk about terrain or no?
They canceled a race. Well, a guy said they didn't tell me, and I was like, well, I'm sure they emailed you, and he was saying that they had canceled their Sunday race.
Yeah, and then they just canceled the events on Facebook, and it's like, boof, it never happened. Like, that's pretty much the method they go down is, hey, this isn't happening. Bam, the event's deleted, and it's gone, and there's no conversation about it or whatever.
But I'm also surprised because they're always like, hey, 30,000 registered this weekend.
Yeah.
Maybe they had an odd weekend, maybe.
Seems like a pretty common odd weekend for them. What else do we want to talk about, man? What have you missed since you've been gone?
You tell me.
By the time people listen to this, there might be a major announcement about the 2020 Spartan schedule. Just saying.
Well, do you want to say it?
I don't know for sure, but it sounds like they're announcing the National Series dates and locations this week.
So. Oh, Jesus Christ. I mean, again, just like it's like, come on, like you want these people to train and go to all your races.
Yeah, it fucking starts anew, man. I don't know. I'm guessing Jacksonville's back for the start of it in February. Right. I'm guessing Alabama's gone.
Right.
I'm thinking
I would agree with you there on those guesses.
West Virginia is obviously going to be the last stop of it, I think. So you got Jacksonville in February. West Virginia is what, in August? You got Tahoe for the U.S. National Series or the North American Championship. Oh, we didn't even talk about that, right? Tahoe pretty much voted yes for the North American Championship event to be hosted there. I listened to a conference call for the North Lake Tahoe Tourism
What was
Board.
that like, by the way? You were supposed to remind me. What was that like? Was it boring?
Yeah, it was pretty boring. It was just,
Did you chime in? Josh Chace, New Hampshire.
Hi, Josh Chace, Obstacle Racing Media. Can I just ask a question here? No, it was just like, they are waiting on Spartan to send a fully detailed kind of marketing plan. So they show them like what the socials are, what the impressions differences are like, and viewership and all that stuff. So they want to see like a hashed out plan. That'd be interesting to see if they can pull that together. So Jacksonville, West Virginia, those two are definitely on the docket. Big Bear's definitely on the docket. It always is. I think Seattle's on the docket, which leaves one little race in between. I don't know. I have to think it's East Coast. They're going back to Palmerton, maybe. I don't know. I haven't looked at like the layout of the schedule, so I haven't really put too much thought into it. If you're a guessing man and you want to guess, or woman, Jack Bauer put up a competition for guessing the U.S. National Series dates.
Can I participate because I actually know the cities?
Yeah, but can you say it?
Well, I'll tell you offline. How about that?
Okay, that's fine.
I'll tell you
So
offline.
by the time people listen to this, it sounds like they might already know. I'm pretty sure it's probably going to get announced today. Today being, what the hell day is it? Tuesday.
I like the idea though that we were doing it like The Price is Right, where I was like, okay, you got 3 right, and now figure out which ones those are, right? And then okay, now you've got 2 right, so you fucked up, right? And just keep playing that game until you get it right. I will say, ow, damn it. I will say that I don't know for a fact where Worlds is, Spartan Worlds, and I feel the more I feel like it actually is going to be in fucking Abu Dhabi. Like,
I think it is.
I think it is.
I'm leading towards Abu Dhabi with the shit show that's happening in Sweden right now. I don't think you can have the World Championship there, right? I don't think you can, and it's just not conducive for people to get to. And unfortunately, like, Abu Dhabi's relatively easy to get to. It's a major hub of pretty much the world in terms of travel. I don't know, man. I
feel like we have to go though if it goes there.
I mean, we 100% have
to go. I mean, just to be like, what is happening here?
I'll wear my Indiana Jones like head wrap thing.
Right.
I mean, we definitely have to go.
You know how all the Airbnbs like sell out the week of for like OCRWC? Like what's going to be the equivalent, do you think?
I don't know.
Like do they have that? Is there Verbo Airbnb? Is there something?
I don't know. I'm going to look now though.
do we pay in Rakuten coins? I don't even know how it's going to work.
Yeah, what do they deal with in terms of like currency over there? Is it rubles? What are they?
I don't know.
Abu Dhabi. What are the dates of the World Championship? September? No, it's going to be October something, right? Let me see what I can. Let me see what I can stay in.
The good news is that OCRWC is back in America, so we won't have to make 2 trips.
That is true, dude. Look at this fully furnished apartment for like $27 a night.
What?
Okay, maybe I'm all in on Abu Dhabi now.
27 American night?
Oh, $221 total for 3 nights with all those wonderful fees.
Okay, dude, still not good.
Here's a place with a rooftop pool. We could sleep in a tent with mangrove views, man.
I want to do.
Okay, I'm all in on Abu Dhabi.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it. I'll see what I can get ORM to cover for fees. So the Russian Federation, by the way, Geography Corner, it's very confusing for me, okay? When I grew up in the 80s, right, we had the Soviet Union. They were our enemies, right? Then Berlin Wall falls, like communism is dead, Russia falls. There's a bunch of countries that are born, right? So, for example, where Rhea is from, that country did not exist when I was born, right? But there is a country called Russia, right? And I think they're called the Russian Federation. So RUS, right? Rodents of unusual size. I don't think they exist. RUS, right? The third place guy and the second and third place women, which, by the way, I completely fucked up. I'm so embarrassed as a dumb American. I kept getting it wrong. Like I wanted to like triple check. I'm posting in stories. I'm posting on the feed. And I put RUS like twice under the wrong person. I had to delete posts and put them back up. The winner is from the Czech Republic, okay? Richard Heineck, super American name, Czech Republic. I know that. And then a couple of the women are from Russia. And then the third place guy, Sergey, I think is from Russia, or is he also from Czech Republic?
Sergey's from Russia. Sergey.
It's a very Russian name.
Pelurian. Yeah.
Right. Anyhow, they're all in on Sochi, by the way. They're very excited about it.
Well, of course they are.
Well, and so like I think Ian's already working with them, and like they're a little embedded. So there's something called the Hero League. You probably saw it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically like they're already working with that series and those races. Like basically like it's like Adrian showing up at what's the name of that venue?
King's Domain.
No, the one in England. King's Domain.
Nuclear races.
So it's kind of like that.
Yeah.
So they're like, it's going to be great. I said, you don't doubt Ian at all? They're like, no. I'm like, okay. So anyway, I said, convince them to bring us over. And they're like, we'll do that in broken English. So they're all in on Sochi.
Did you see their high quality Instagram post yesterday that Aaron Newell weighed in on?
Oh no.
It was just it's a girl trying to attempt a Ninja Warrior obstacle, running around. There's commentators. There's a voiceover here, and they're like, "Oh, look at her! She looks so great." Apologies for the really bad voice impression, but she doesn't do anything.
She's modeling.
She's literally modeling. Aaron Newell posts on the bottom and says, "Hey, great post, guys. Keep the great content coming." And Ryan Atkins posts the shrug emoji, like, "What is this?" But after our conversation a couple weeks ago, USAOCR did put out a post saying they're looking to form an advisory committee. So if anybody is interested in having a say, I might if they'll have my say. I'll try and be biased.
So it's going to be you, Elvi, Storm the Spartan, Spartan Face, and the OCR trainer. Is that who the advisory board is going to be?
I'm out.
And Perry. What did Perry do, by the way? I was like, somebody put something about Perry in this new group, and I couldn't. My plane was loading slowly. The results are. Josh is shaking his head vehemently at me.
She sung fucking Frozen on stage. It was like, whatever. I have nothing good to say, so I won't say anything.
Okay. I mean, she posts videos of herself singing. I mean, I know she can sing.
That's fine, but can you just not like the okay, fine. The like, and it doesn't even have to be a girl, but like the annoying person who takes over every party that you go to. Like they just show up and they're like, "I'm the center of attention for everything." Can you just not turn everything into like it being about you for 9 seconds? Can you just exist without like needing spotlight? Like she jumped up on stage and started singing Frozen in like right before the Kids Awards, and it was like the drunk guy getting up and singing like Paradise by the Dashboard Light on karaoke, and it's like
I love when Josh I love when Josh becomes Rage. Just there you go.
Yeah, I mean, but can you just not?
Well, it's that class. Remember that classic Saturday Night Live skit where she's like, "Don't make me sing. Don't make me sing."
Yeah.
Clearly wants to sing.
You're like, "Oh, stop."
Exactly. So,
and also, okay, now that we're on it, right? Here we go. Justin Manning, love you to death, metal addict. Can you stop playing New York songs everywhere? Like, first off, we're in New Jersey. Fine, close enough. But I don't want to hear. I was about to call him Fred Savage. Who's the crooner? The dead guy. What the hell's his name?
Randy Savage?
No. That's Macho Man Randy Savage. Why can't I think of this goddamn guy's name? Old Blue Eyes. What the hell's his name, Matt?
Frank Sinatra.
Yes, thank you. For God's sakes, I don't want to hear him singing that New York ballad like every single morning when I go there. I don't want to hear Alicia Keys sing Welcome to New York. Like, I get it. I get it, Justin. You're from New York. I get it. Okay, I get it. Just stop. Just don't.
Why do we sing Sweet Caroline at the Red Sox games?
I don't know, but I fucking hate Sweet Caroline.
Neil Diamond, not from Boston.
Not from Boston. Not even good. Not even good. Coming to America. Okay.
Today.
Great in that Jack Black movie. Saving
well, when you're really drunk, it's fun to say ba ba ba, right? It's fun to do that, right?
No, it's not.
I mean, I've been drunk in a really long time, but
I'm gonna get up on stage at the Spartan Stadium series and sing Sweet Caroline, and I'm just gonna kick everybody else off the stage. Like, this is my moment. Just get off.
Dude, I love it. I love when people. The reason I love it, Josh, is because people don't like me, and anytime people can not like you more than they don't like me, I get very happy.
I'm your deflector.
Well,
shield.
listen. Sorry, Perry, but the reason I truly didn't know, because you're on the plane, you're trying to get the fucking login. By the way, $20 for me to go for the 10-hour flight
for Wi-Fi.
Yeah, but I did it both ways, and it was pretty good going over. But on the way back, it would like half load, like you see the post but not the comments.
Yeah,
et cetera. I didn't know what it was. I was like, what? Well, like, what happened? Did she win something? Like, I didn't know what happened. But Josh has a sordid history with the Mean Girls.
No, and it has nothing to do with
ambassadors of Spartan.
It has nothing to do with them personally. It's just can we just like can I just go to a race without it turning into your own personal like social media platform? Like it just doesn't have to be that. And 90% of the people that there don't know you, follow you, or give a shit. And they're like, who's this person singing songs on stage? Why does this matter to me? I'm just here to see my kids get a podium picture so I can post it on Facebook and make all the other soccer moms feel bad about themselves. Like that's all it is. I don't want any of that. But I guess I'm in the minority, so fuck me, right?
Love it, Josh. Hey, so speaking of which, about you being on the committee. So I think, so there's definitely an approach to doing this, right? Like you're like, hey, I can be part of the problem or part of the solution. And my guess is, Josh, because of what we've seen the last 2 years, you would last about 6 months before you go, this is fucking pointless exercise. Now, if you're going to be that guy, like, so I'll use this for example. I joined my neighborhood committee. I think I might have talked about this before. When I used to live in a neighborhood called Kirkwood, and I joined the committee, and I lived in Little Five Points, and I became the president of the business association. And I spent 2 years pulling my hair out and going, okay, I can stay and be part of the solution, or I can go, there's a phrase my friend gave me, like, go play with people who want to play at the speed I'm playing. Like, what am I doing over here?
Right.
I could be committed to the change for the next 20 years and pull my fucking hair out. So, that's for you to make the call. And by the way, I think that's what Lindsay's doing. Like I talked to Lindsay a little bit about doing this thing. And I think that she's like, hey, I know it's a little wonky, but I want to try to be the change. I'm like, okay, we'll see how long that lasts. And I'll get her to talk about it on the record at some point. But I mean, I think just for funsies, you could do it, Josh, but also like, how much time do you have?
I mean, how much time do I need?
Well, if they want you to be on calls or whatever.
I could make time. Hey, listen. And I said this last time, right? It's as much as we like take shots at the organization and the whole thing as an umbrella, we do that because we care about the sport a lot. Like we
only want to bring it down. We want to bring down Spartan, OCRWC, terrain.
Yeah, I really want my weekends to be free. I just hate being busy all the time. Right? We do it because we give a shit and we want to see the sport grow, but also at the same time be respected. And when I think about some of the people that like to think they have like input in this sport and they have influence, you don't, and you're not doing any good for the sport because you're using it as a selfish platform as opposed to helping things grow and get bigger and better. So like when I think about being critical of these, sure, I'm critical in a very drastic way, but I'm critical because it means a lot to me, and to see this sport become something that it shouldn't become, it would be upsetting to me. Whereas, I want it to be respected, I want it to be enjoyed, and I want people to know what the hell it is.
Well, so listen, I have thought a lot about this, and it like, this is how things go, right? So Bob Babbitt, who started Competitor, did he start Competitor? What did he start? He's the OG of triathlon. Yeah, he started the magazine back in the early days. And then like eventually, like he probably gets to make decisions about the sport because, hey, you've been around for 20 years. So, if I could humbly say that in many, many years from now, I could see myself on a panel like this. But now the best place for me to be is here, where I can safely be the media guy and go, hey, here's where I can point out where it's going right and wrong. But at some point, yeah, I probably would make sense for someone like me or you, who's been committed to the sport for fucking, a decade or so, to have some influence in that way. I'm sorry, Jamie, I just don't think you're ready. I think it's going to be more of the same. You're going to have no budget, no direction, and, it's like, what's going to happen? So I would say save your time, Josh, but if you want to put your input into it, I guess you could. But I don't think it's going to do anything because they don't have the resources to make anything change anyway. What are you going to do?
I'm an agent of change, Matt, okay? I'm a thought leader in this field, okay? I'm a change guru ninja leader of thought.
Did they even announce their next race yet, by the way?
No.
Or a sign up, to become a member?
No, you don't put the cart ahead of the horse, Matt.
We're not
there yet.
Then let Russ Blatt and Justin Manning be on the thing. Don't do it, Josh. Seriously. You can be writing more amazing articles for ORM.
Okay. All right. I feel like we didn't even cover anything today.
Well, there's a lot to talk about with the damn Greece stuff. World's Toughest Mudder's coming.
Hell yeah. World's Toughest Mudder's coming. I'm excited.
Well, I know you're new to this, but have you been in the like? Are they even allow you in the community? Did I force them to put you in the community?
Yes, you did.
Okay. So, well, it's like, come on, guys. So they did this thing where they changed. I'm gonna have Carlo on, and we're gonna talk about a lot of the rules, but I may as well talk to you about it. Just get your opinion. So there used to be this rule in place that if you go into the medical tent, which is a big, giant, warm tent where they're going to give you a space blanket and warm things and try to get you warm again, you had a 30-minute limit or you were DQ'd, right? Which made sense, right? Because if you're vomiting nonstop or there's something they're trying to treat and they're like, I'm sorry, we can't let you out of here. And you're like, okay.
Right.
But
like at some point, you're no longer fit to compete.
But much like the death race and WTM, which I've seen up close, the instruction they're given is always try to get them back out, and they mean it. Like, I've spoken to medical staff.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, man, we want you to compete. We want to do we don't want to fucking DQ you if we don't have to.
Right, because every race you've ever been at, if you've ever been around a medical situation, they're like, the second we do this, you're out, right? And we can take you down the mountain, but you're done at that point. So,
So they try, So same case here, right? And they had to change a rule, I think it was last year, where if you got fluids, you were out, because that wasn't a rule before, right? And that's a big difference. Like, getting fluids is a big deal. Your body is missing it. You get an IV, you're a new person. So they made that rule. Makes sense. This year, for a reason I can't imagine, they're like, no more 30-minute rule for you. You're not DQ'd. Okay? And I said, how are you going to keep the tent empty? And they're like, well, you can't just be sitting around there chilling. And I'm like, nobody's chilling. People are fucking dying. Like, they're fuck. And in their mind, they're like, okay, maybe I'll get out. And then the great thing about the 30 minutes was like, you're at minute 28. You want to be in or out? Okay, I'm going to go. And that many times got people moving, or they were like, at least fuck, I'll just limp back to my tent, right? I'll just limp back to my
You know what we need to do, Matt?
And see what?
you know when you go to like a little shop, like a local restaurant, and they're on lunch, and you go to open the door and it's locked, and they have the little clock sign that's hanging, like, we'll be back in. Dude, we need, every time somebody comes in the medical tent, just hang one of those around their neck and just set the clock and be like, I need to leave by. Whoop.
Exactly. Well, they do that though. And even if you didn't go right back on course, you might limp back to your tent and think, okay, I got another lap in me in the morning, or whatever it is. It's a good rule. I can't remember 1,000%. I'm pretty sure it was 45. Like, 2011 was a shit show. Who knew what the fuck was going on? 2012, I'm pretty positive it was 45. Someone can correct me. And the next year it was 30. Now, what I don't want to have to see is medical people spending half their time going, wait, what are you three still doing here? Get out. And then you have to actually force them out, because, again, they're not chilling out. They're fucking freezing. They're sitting by that warm thing. Their brains aren't functioning right. So many things. So I think it could be a shit show. I think they might change the rule mid-race. They might not be able to change it mid-race and change it next year. But even Kyle jumped in, president of Tough Mudder, and said, nope, we're going to make sure. And I'm like, okay, I just don't want to see you spending all your time dealing with this problem. Because, again, it's not like it's not like being in a restaurant and the 3 or 4 of you are sitting there and you go, hey, they're putting the seats up around us. You think they want us to get out of here? Yeah, okay, let's go. Your brain isn't functioning properly.
Yeah, it's survival at that point. And the temperatures are not trending in the right direction, looking at the 10-day forecast. Not that you can believe that ever, but overnight it's obviously still going to be frosty there. So,
dude, the warmest year, the easiest year, the year I got 50 miles, the year it never got below, I think, 40-something or 50-something, whatever it was, which is still very cold to be running around and getting in water at night. The medical tent was still filled like anytime I got near it, because it's what happens. And especially, God forbid, it's really bad. So I don't know why they're doing this. We'll see what happens. Speaking of which, I'm a fan of Kyle. People love that this is Kyle M., president of Tough Mudder, is commenting in the community. However, at this point, I would think we'd start to hear from other people, like the Eli and Nolan. So I'm reaching out to Kyle. I want to be introduced to the Eli and or Nolan. Because much like I always say about Spartan, as messed up as things are, if Morris gives me a statement, I trust it. Eli and Nolan know their shit. They put together an amazing event every year. Amazing obstacles, amazing, changes, cool things, a lot of great stuff. And I want to know who that person is for this race. And I think the president should be doing other stuff. right? Like I said, it's great when he steps in when he needs to in the community, like, about the 4-0 situation or about some massive cheating scandal. But like, we should let somebody else handle these questions. Like, how are you going to kick people out of the tent? He's not going to personally be the one kicking the people out of the tent.
Right. Yeah, I'm excited. I think I'm going to do I'll be there obviously covering with ORM, but I think I'm going to do like a 3-hour show, not like an every 3-hour show. Maybe I'll do an every 6-hour show, like a little sit down update. Here's what we're doing. So I'll be all over the place. My driver is ready to go.
Cool. Will you discuss some of that with me? I mean, you don't have to, but
no, I'm just gonna go and do it.
Just gonna hop on stage and start singing.
Yeah, just fly by night. Just boom. I got this.
Well, listen, this is what I always tell everybody, and obviously we're going to talk offline, but just so people know where I'm coming from. There's 2 things people want, right? They do want to see the leaderboard, and they want to see the everyday, I almost said everyday Spartans, and they want to see the everyday mutter. So like something as simple, I know Keith Allen has like hammered this home to me for fucking 7 years. Just give us a fucking leaderboard update once an hour. Just throw that up not on the stories, not on a live where you got to wait for it. Just throw it up on the screen in the feed. I think every 2 hours is probably fair, right? Men, women, teams. Here's the leaderboard, and just minimum so that when regardless of what hour it is, you don't have to like go through 1,000 stories to see who's winning. And I agree with that.
Oh, bravo! Did you just open the Reddit app by accident?
I don't know what happened.
Holy shit, folks, we're getting them there.
I was trying to read something, and it's like, do you want to download the Reddit app? And I was like, fine, sure.
Yeah. All right. All right, man. What the hell else do we got to talk about?
Whenever I get my daily reminders from Reddit about, like, here's what you missed in Reddit, and I think you're always the lead article, I think.
It's true. I am the #1 contributor to the Spartan Race subreddit. No surprise there.
What about Tough Mudder?
Tough Mudder's kind of dead. Nobody's really in there. Everybody's in the Tough Mudder Facebook community group, so nobody moves over to Reddit.
What about Terrain?
Terrain does not have one, nor will they ever. Or I'll cancel it for other reasons. I do also run the obstacle course racing subreddit, but that one we were just kind of cross-posting everything else from Spartan. Spartan's really the only active one. It's got like 10,000 subscribers to it. So,
yeah, do you think it's an age thing?
Yeah, Reddit's a Gen Z, like 20, 30 or lower probably is the demographic I'm guessing that's primary.
What are you?
I'm Gen X. I'm 40, man.
We're both Gen X?
Yeah.
I feel like
Gen X is like a 12-year, like 1978 to 19.
Yeah, we do have we do have a lot of similar experiences, but then there's some things that like aren't.
Yeah. My generation is like in between Gen X and Millennial. They call it Xennials. It's actually a separate.
What happened to Y? Cohort. What happened to Gen Y? I thought that's what was after X.
I don't know, man.
Before the term millennial existed, they were saying Gen Y and Gen Z.
Yeah, it was Gen X, Gen Y, which never took off. College key generation for a while because our parents used to lock them inside the house all the time, and then it turned into millennial. And then Gen Z is after that. This has been Marketing 201.
We were definitely the first latchkey kids. We were definitely the first raised by television kids.
But we were also the first kids that could go outside and play until the streetlights were on. So that's why we're like that in between generation. It's like grew up outside, also still had technology, but it didn't start from when we were babies. So we have kind of the understanding of both worlds. We're really the best, is what it comes down to. So
Gen X is?
Yeah.
All right, Josh. Great catching up as always.
Great catching up. It was a tough several days without just constant chatter. I miss that.
Me
so
too.
Happy we're back.
All righty. I'll see you. Well, I got regular Tough Mudder this weekend, but I just was out of the country and I don't really feel like running again or being in a race. But I think I'm going to because River had such a great time. I think I'm going to have him do the kids race at Mutter, which isn't great for bigger kids, but I think for his age, it'll be fine. What are you doing this weekend? Fenway?
So.
Do you have some illegal codes to sell? I heard you did.
I don't have any illegal codes to sell. I got Fenway, and Jack Bauer's going to be there. Jack Bauer's like, hey, you going to be at Fenway? I don't think we've ever met. I'll try and say hi to you. So
You don't have. I didn't see you post that you have codes to sell.
no, I do have some codes to sell, but they're like volunteer codes. So
They're not illegal.
no, what's illegal?
Oh, I just got a great screenshot of you. That was amazing. You know how people do that? It's like illegal codes. No, your codes are all legal.
Yes. Yeah. All my volunteer codes.
All right, let's do this. Let's really piss people off. I'm going to end record and then tell you where the cities are. Okay, you ready?
All right, ready.
Okay, pause.